Hey everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner and I have a very special guest in the corner. Would you like to introduce yourself to everybody out there?
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Fang Van Culyenburg and it's nice to be talking at you.
Talking at you. I like that. That should be like a new phrase that we do. You're not talking with us, at you. But I was kind of curious because all the fans out there know you, especially the geeky fans. We know you from Final Fantasy. But How did you get into acting?
Well, I've been doing it since I was tiny, like 5 years old, but I guess I technically became professional when I was 16. I've always wanted to be an actor. I like entertaining and make people laugh and make them happy. So this was a way to kind of do what I like to do and make it a job. So I was very clear from, I think pretty much since the minute I played the skeleton in the Christmas play, when I was 4.5. I'm pretty sure that's when I decided I wanted to do that for the rest of my life.
The skeleton in the Christmas play. What kind of Christmas play was that?
Now that I think about it, I'm really not sure how skeletons fit in to a Christmas play.
Unless it was maybe The Nightmare Before Christmas?
Possibly. Definitely. I'll have to go back through the videos. That's so funny. But I loved it. I've always loved it. And I just like performing and entertaining and making people happy.
And did you find it difficult to get into the business, or because you were working at it at such a young age, was it easy for you?
I don't think it's ever easy. I got to be honest. I don't think, it's something that actors say no matter how successful you get. Never easy. But it's kind of that question of, is the hard stuff worth it for you? And yes, I guess for me, I love the hard stuff. It was harder for me in Australia, funnily enough, than here for some reason. You'd think it'd be easier in a smaller market, but I guess I fit better into the American market, which is interesting. So I worked a lot in Australia, but I did a lot of educational theater because kids is kind of my focus. I focus a lot on doing kids TV and kids content. So did a lot of educational theater. So I worked a lot there and did a lot of voiceovers there. But I've been here for 6 years now, and it's been an uphill climb. But it's one of those things where every step is so gratifying and so fun. But I really do think that it's one of the hardest jobs in the world. Not as far as doctors are definitely, they've got lives in their hands. But as far as the way that you have to conduct yourself, you don't know when you're going to work. You don't know if you're going to work. You don't know if you'll ever work again. And you just keep getting up every morning believing. So it takes a lot of strength to do it well as far as living and being happy.
Well, as long as you enjoy it, I think no matter what, you'd go after it.
Exactly. And I am lucky enough to love it. And that's the thing. There's a lot of actors that don't necessarily enjoy it anymore, but keep going because they think they have to. And I feel like it's okay. You don't have to, just do something that makes you happy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But it makes me happy, thank goodness.
So what made you move from Australia to the U.S. to pursue acting? What was the final straw where you're like, well, I'm just going to go to L.A.?
It actually happened over 10 years. Oh, wow. I made the decision 10 years before I came because I was tiny when I made the decision. I was a tiny little girl. And my parents were like, okay, sure. Whatever you reckon? Because I'd never been to L.A. I'd never been to America. And I told my parents when I think I was 9 years old. Or 8 years old, I was like, I'm going to move to America and be an actress when I grow up. And they're like, that's nice. And I met someone who very soon after who was an actor, and I told him that I was going to come in 10 years. And I basically went through high school and everything I did knowing that I was planning on, in 2005, going to America. And slowly but surely people started believing me because it's all I talked about. But it was very clear for me because I always thought that I have a big public awareness thing to what I do, and I've always felt that way, that you want to reach the whole world with a message rather than just be a good actor. You need to have something that you stand behind and things that you want to change in the world, and I don't think you can do that from many places through media other than Hollywood. So I always felt that if I'm going to do what I want to do, which is make children believe in their magic and at the same time work as an actor to create a profile, I need to be in the place where people look. So it was very clear. I never, ever saw myself growing up in Australia. I always knew I was coming here. So I got here, and the guy that I told 10 years earlier that I was going to come in 2005 picked me up from the airport.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, and he was the DP on my film last year. So we're still very close.
And so there was no culture shock or anything like that? You just settled really easy?
There was a culture shock, especially because I really didn't know anyone. I knew him, but we didn't, he kind of, helped me get my feet for, 3-4 days, and then I'm very independent, so I, went and bought a car and started driving on the wrong side of the road, or now side of the road, and, had to find out that there's a thing called the DMV, and, all these things that, you guys would take as just stuff about living. I was like, where do I go to post things? Where do I go to get a license? Where do I, all this stuff. And America, especially LA, is very different. It's just, I'd never seen homeless people properly. And I think that was the biggest shock for me, because I get very sympathetic very quickly. So it was really hard for me to just look at them and go, oh, well, homeless person. I'm like, oh my God. And then I realized there's 56,000 of them. I'm like, there's a lot of people to feel sorry for. So that was alarming, and just, I think the biggest shock for me was I decided that, maybe I won't like the way Hollywood feels, because it's going to be cement, and I'm used to parks everywhere, and maybe it's going to be a little bit cutthroat, but I won't like it that much, but I want to stay there. And when I got here, I was like, I love this place. This is the coolest place ever in the whole world, infinity and beyond. And so I was really lucky that I absolutely loved it when I got here.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I live in Las Vegas, and I don't think I could live in Los Angeles just due to the traffic.
Oh, yeah. That is definitely something that you never get used to. I can totally understand that. Anyone that comes here is like, oh my God, the traffic, I couldn't live here. I'm just really lucky that I'm extremely patient. I love rocking out to my music, and I love using, I save up all my phone calls for driving. So that I just go with a hands-free policeman. I just spend my whole time on the phone talking to my amazing friends. So I get to places, I'll be in a car for 2 hours, and I'm like, oh, I'm here. That happened. So yeah, but you spend on a day when you're driving, you can spend 4 to 5 hours in your car and not even leave the LA area.
And see, that to me is insane. I mean, we were actually in the California area at 4th of July weekend. We were actually going to go to the convention in Los Angeles, but instead we were like, well, the last time we did that, we almost got ran over and died. So I think we'll go to the one at Anaheim. And then we went to Disneyland.
Well, I think that's a better thing to do.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, actually. It was a really nice area, and I hadn't been there since I was 11, and it's just so clean.
Yeah, Disneyland and Anaheim are very different to LA. Mm-hmm. Very different to LA. But the convention center and that convention, that 4th of July, which one was that? Was that Anime?
That was Anime Expo at the Los Angeles Convention Center.
Yeah, I was there last year. It's so fun.
Yeah, you had that big building poster.
Yes.
Right there during that weekend.
My little Vanille was up there. And the weirdest and the greatest thing about that, but I don't mean to be yay, he died and it worked out well. I love Michael Jackson, and I think he's awesome, and I'm very sorry he's not with us anymore. But when they had his funeral, it was at Staples Center. So, and they had my billboard up. So every time they cut to an exterior shot of where the funeral was, I was like, yay, it's me.
I can understand that. Everybody likes to see themselves or a personification of themselves.
It was kind of fun. I was like, whoa, she is getting a lot of TV time today.
But now that brings me back to a question of how you got into video game voice acting.
Well, it was a thing that happened just purely by being a voice actor. I didn't know about the possibilities until I did Seven Kingdoms Conquest a year before Final Fantasy happened, and I did another small one for Sony that I don't know actually where that went. So I'd been doing voiceovers in Australia. I fell into it very fortunately because it's my favorite thing to do. But I was doing a live performance of a couple of cartoon characters, and my company got the contract to do the voiceovers for Angelina Ballerina and Jake is the Pig. And they just called me and gave me 24 hours notice. They're like, we need you to come and be Angelina Ballerina. And to me, I grew up with Angelina Ballerina and I loved her so much. So it was the greatest job ever at that stage. So I did that, and then they gave me Jake as the Pig and were like, and you need to be Irish. I was like, what? Okay. So I got 24 hours to do that, and I recorded those just before I left. So when I got to LA, I was able to launch pretty quickly with an agent and get a few jobs, like the Finding Nemo job that I had, and the little jobs, and then voiceovers for video games came up. So I did those too, and then it's kind of like it's such a cool medium to do voiceovers for, because it's like doing a movie that's way longer than a movie. And there's so many different arcs and turns and twists that it's fascinating, especially because you can work on it for a really long time. So when I got Final Fantasy, I didn't even know what I was getting into. And I was like, this is the coolest. I want to do this forever.
So had you heard of Final Fantasy before, like the series?
I'd heard of it. I have to confess I wasn't like totally versed in it, but I'd had a couple of friends that were gamers, so I knew about it. And I mean, it's a huge franchise. It's one of those things that even if you don't quite know what it is, I think everybody sort of knows the name.
Yeah, it has a strong brand name.
Yes, definitely. So I was definitely in that category of like, I know what that is. That's okay. But what I didn't know was, I guess, the fan base and the following it had. And I will never forget the first recording session. The producer sat me down and they said, now we just need to warn you. This is not just some game you're going to do and you'll forget about it. They were like, you will get requests for underwear. You will get I was like, what? Excuse me? And then they explained a little bit and I was like, okay, I guess. And then they showed me the billboard and I was like, oh, that's so, I didn't realize the producer was like, look at this. And I was like, oh, that's such a cute idea. That would look really good. And he goes, no, it's actually there. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like that really hit me, that this was something bigger than what I expected. And my agent was like, you'll probably do like 4 or 5 sessions, I'm not sure what the deal is yet. Cut to 6 months later and I'm still recording. So yeah, it really, the minute I got into it, I was like, I am in something much bigger than I expected when I got that first phone call.
Hey, a lot of sessions means a lot of money.
Hey, I mean no complaining at all. And it was a fun, it was never, the great thing about all the work I do is it's never about the money. It's like an added bonus, and then I get the check and I'm like, oh yeah, I did that for money. I forgot that.
Well, that must have been a fun character to portray as well, because she's so sort of innocent, but in a sense, not really, because she does have a little bit of secrets.
Yes. I was so grateful to get her character when I really, because we took a long time to really understand our characters. It wasn't like, so she looks like this, now go, And when I did the audition, it just said Australian bubbly, excited, and is all about rainbows, sugar, and lollipops. And I was like, well, that's kind of me. That's a lot me. So we started off with that. But then when I started realizing Vanille's truth and her past and what's going to happen in the future, all this kind of stuff, it was so profound to me, because I am super bubbly and super happy, and everybody knows me as the most positive person in the world. But I'm only that way because I've had some really big things happen to me. Like, I've been through a lot of illness, and, I've had to move a country and start by myself. And, I've had some really supposedly devastating stuff, like with my alopecia, and I had anorexia and all that kind of stuff. And this is stuff that most people don't know about me. So it's not that I hide it, but I know very much what it's like to live a really happy, bubbly life, but know that there's a lot of stuff going on underneath. If that makes sense. So I really felt like, wow, they couldn't have really given me something that I would connect with more.
Definitely.
Than this girl. So I was very grateful.
Now, was there any aspect of it you found difficult, like any reaction sounds or anything like that?
Well, there is no doubt that it did take me one session to get the Vanille sound that is become synonymous with Vanille. And I know there are other characters out there that have, especially female characters, but the producers are like, so there's this, because they were like, mad reaction. I was like, oh, and they're like, there's a sound that you're going to need to learn. I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, it's sort of this anime sound, like that. It's quite popular, and it's something that, like, a lot of the characters, it's just a different. And I was like, and they're like, you basically like breathe out and then breathe in. And I'm like, huh? Like, I'm like, what do you mean? And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, and they're like, yes, that's it. I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, go home and practice that. And so I'm at home going, and then like I came back and did it, and they're like, yay, she's got it. So that was technically the biggest like hurdle I had to, was basically to acquire the sound. And I cannot, I mean, you know, but I cannot tell you how many reaction sounds this girl has in her script. Like, it's Vanille's every second line is happy reaction, sad reaction, frustrated reaction, and they're all a variation of it's very, I think that was the most challenging, was just keeping those authentic and real, because it's a very similar sound, but you also want it to be real.
Exactly. I mean, I have to admit, when I heard you doing them back to back, all I could think of was one of those Flippy squeaky toys, the little dogs that flip over.
Totally. And she is like that. Like, she just comes out with these, like, I kept on saying to the producers, really? She would make all these sounds when she's running? And they're like, yeah, apparently she would. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't make that sound when I run.
I don't either, so I think we're in the same boat here.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
But that's kind of the interesting thing about stuff that comes from Japan. They always have, like, certain words at the end of sentences, like desu, and different reaction sounds, so that kind of makes it interesting.
It does, and it was great because we listened to we always had, most of the time we had the Japanese scratch track, or the Japanese version of what we were doing, so we got a very clear idea of the sort of feel that they wanted. So that made it easier as well.
And did you find any cultural differences that you were, troubling at all? I mean, the story's set in sort of a futuristic world, so it's kind of hard to find too much of a cultural difference, but was there any of that?
I think the funniest thing to me was the relationship between Fang and Vanille, like, that they'd created, and in all the documents and all the things that explained, it was like, they are friends, they're like sisters, and I was like, really? Because it doesn't seem like we're trying to paint that picture at all. Like, it seems like there's some other message going on here, and, it's possible that because there's a sort of, underlying sexual thing.
Yeah, just a little.
Just a little. With a lot of the stuff, like, even when me and Saz are lying in the, in the forest, and I'm like, don't get any ideas, and yet it's never said. Like, it's never, we can't say that any of this is happening, but at the same time, like, it's there, and it's so obvious. Like, even when Fang has to lift up my skirt and look at my butt after not seeing me for so long, I'm like, really? This is how we say hello? Okay. So I think that was because I'm very much about being honest and upfront and real, and I really realized that the Japanese culture is not like that at all.
Well, I think if I can be like a total geek here, I think you can kind of relate it to Xena Warrior Princess with the two main characters.
Oh, totally.
There's always that, they're together, and other people are like, no, they're just really close friends, and I think Western audiences take it as a deeper relationship than other audiences would.
Yeah, I think, absolutely. I think you're correct. We like to read into things, us Westerners.
We like to make fan fiction and put people together, even though it doesn't make any sense.
And make YouTube videos with I Kissed a Girl behind it, etc.
I'm assuming you've looked up the character on YouTube then.
Yeah, I have. I have to do a Google search every now and then just to check what's going out about me. So when Final Fantasy came out, there was a lot to just skim over, but I remember seeing that video. I was like, that's all. I sent it to the girl that plays Fang. I was like, we're hot. It's awesome.
I'm sure did you guys get to record it all, you and Rachel Robinson?
We did not meet until we'd finished the game.
That sucks too. She's so nice.
She's awesome. She's really, really great. We are good friends now. I did not meet any of the characters, any of the actors until we'd finished. But we had like a rap party, and at that party I made friends with Ali and Troy and Rachel, because the other guys weren't there actually. They didn't make it, but the four of us, that's four. I'm like trying to do math in my head. The four of us have become very close. So we haven't actually for a while, but for a while there we were like buddies and all that kind of thing. And they're great people. They're so awesome. So it's kind of frustrating. It's like, wow, we just did an entire like thing together and we never met each other. That is crazy.
Well, here's what you can do. I got a master plan here. You guys can all go to a convention together, probably one of the bigger ones, and be invite us together.
I am sending out a message now to everybody that runs a convention. Please invite us. We were talking about that in Allie's kitchen. We were like, how cool would it be if the four of us turned up at something? That would be awesome. So we would love to. It was totally something we talked about. But Troy's like the convention king, and Allie goes to quite a few because of Mass Effect and stuff. So they often just get invited on their own and don't invite us. But it's okay. I understand. I'm sure they're not allowed to invite us. But we definitely, Rachel and I were like, we got to go together. Like, that would be funny. Fang and Vanille turning up together. We like accidentally share a room just to get rumors started. That'd be funny.
Why do I see you guys doing vlogs in the room and everything else? And posting them up on YouTube?
We'd have a video vlog on. We'd turn the lights off and be like, guess what's happening now, kids?
Oh, no.
Sorry, did I just say that wasn't very PG? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. They're just having a sleepover. It's fine. Sleepover's fine.
We're talking about ghosts.
And I think with that, we're going to go to a short break here on 91.8 The Fan, but don't go anywhere, because our special guest isn't going anywhere either.
Hi, I'm the Celtic Guardian, but you guys can call me Dave. When I'm not busy being sacrificed in order to summon monsters that are halfway useful, I like to listen to 918 The Fan, one of the hottest online radio shows on the worldwide internet highway. Thing. Did I mention I have like 1,400 attack points? That's a big deal in my world, you know. Plus, I have a sword. Does the Blue Eyes White Dragon have a sword? No. Fuck the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Seriously.
And we're back from our commercial break. Ching. So is there any other projects that you're working on that you can talk about, or anything that's recently come out that you want the listeners to know about?
Yes. As far as voiceovers go, I don't know. Like, this is a tricky one because I'm pretty sure when I signed my NDA for this game, I wasn't meant to say anything, but it's all over IMDb and on the blog, so I'm pretty sure I can say I'm in it without getting myself in trouble. I probably just can't talk too much about the game. But I'm in the new Star Wars. The Knights, oh my god, I can't even.
The Old Republic?
Thank you, the Knights of the Old Republic. I was like, whoa, blanking, and that's terrible because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And that was so awesome to get that job because I grew up with Star Wars. Anybody that knows me, like I have an entire corner in my room of Star Wars stuff. So I'm a total Star Wars geek. So to get that and be able to say things like that I heard on the TV for so long and be able to like say I'm from this place and, you know, to do the Force choke, you know, like I was like, oh, this is so cool. So that's coming out pretty soon, and I'm excited because I can tell you it's an awesome game. It's really cool. So that's coming out. There's another one that I cannot talk about, but that's going to be really cool when it does come out, and we can talk about that at a later date. But the biggest thing that I've been working on for a long time is actually my film that I've just finished, which is a documentary about alopecia, the autoimmune disease. And that has its world premiere in Miami on the 25th at the Doc Miami Film Festival, and it's been nominated for Most Inspirational Documentary at the festival.
Ooh, congratulations.
So, thank you so much. It's been 3 years of hard work. I was the producer of that, ended up directing it in post and kind of like the focus of it because I have the autoimmune disease. So to be able to do that and get it done is kind of like the craziest project I've ever worked on, but it's done and I'm happy with it. Like I watched it and go, okay, I'm kind of happy with this thing that I just did.
Well, I saw the trailer for it when I was stalking you in a nice way on the internet. I think a while ago there was a Kickstarter page or something along those lines, and it had a video showing about it. And I think it's nice for the listeners to know about it too, because I didn't even know like a condition like this existed because I'm ill-informed.
Well, you're just like you're not. I mean, don't be too hard on yourself. The amount of people that don't know It's kind of amazing because there's like 5 million people in America that have it. It's not like something that affects 100 people, but I think it's just for those people that don't know, alopecia areata is a autoimmune disease where your hair falls out and your body basically just tells your hair that it's bad and it lets go of it. And my version, I have hair sometimes and don't have hair other times and have patches and, falls out, comes back, falls out, comes back. There's a couple of other sorts where you lose all your hair forever. But there's nothing wrong with you. You're not sick. You don't have cancer. You're totally healthy. You just lose your hair. So, for me, I was a hair model before this happened. So it was definitely a bit of a life changer. And it enabled me to see all the things that are beautiful about life that don't involve your appearance, don't involve the way people see you, and the fact that you can actually kind of change the world with something that would be supposedly devastating, but you can really, if you're honest about some stuff in your life and talk to people, it's amazing the response that you get and the way that it helps people be more honest with their lives. So that is the film in a nutshell. But it's a pretty crazy condition that like literally affects 5 million people in America. And because it's something that's embarrassing to people usually, or they're shy about, or it makes them hugely self-conscious, most people hide away from it and don't tell people because they're worried what people will think. And so no one knows that it exists. So I'm kind of going, bad luck, guys. Everybody's going to know now.
Well, as a girl, and no offense to the guys, I think that would have more of an emotional impact on a female, just because like I can't even cut my hair short. I don't even like them trimming my hair too short. I get defensive. So
yeah, it's definitely, for me, like I loved my hair so much. And the funny thing is, I always used to say, the only thing I like about myself is my hair. So that I was so self-conscious about my appearance, and I always thought, I'm not pretty and blah, 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 but I love my hair. And so it was like the man upstairs going, well, really? Let me see what happens if I take your hair away. Now what are you going to like, buddy? So I totally get you. I was very in love with my hair. But it's amazing what you learn about life when you don't have it anymore.
That's true. And I think the fact that you're willing to show people, with your hair down, is kind of an interesting and a really brave thing to do.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny. When I was doing it, I didn't realize I was doing something brave. Ironically, I just thought, like, this is something that needs to be done. And it was only when I finished and started seeing people's reactions, I was like, oh, I guess I did do something kind of brave. That's cool. Now I'm proud of myself.
Now, is there any place people can keep track of that?
Yes, there is a website, babyletyourhairhangdown.com, because the film's called Baby Let Your Hair Hang Down. So it's babyletyourhairhangdown.com. There is also a Facebook page for Baby Let Your Hair Hang Down. I'm also always constantly updating my Facebook about it as well. So people can find me on Facebook. I am getting close to my maximum though. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep that page. But I guess I'll always have, if you can always search me and there'll be a page up there. And I love being in contact with people on there. Like I'm not one of those people like, don't talk to me. I'm all about talking and helping people and chatting back. So on my Facebook, on there, the Facebook for the film, I'm always on that, and Twitter as well. If you're on Twitter, Alopecia Film, at Alopecia Film is the handle. So that also will keep you updated.
And now, so I guess it's about time for you to get like a page on Facebook and not just a profile.
I got to do the fan page thing.
Well, you can at least send a mass message to everybody and be like, hey, go to my fan page.
Absolutely. So that will be I think that's going to happen in the next few weeks, actually, which in a way might be a positive thing because I spent a lot of time writing back to messages, which is lovely and great, but my manager gets mad at me for taking so much time to write back, because it does take a lot of time. So I know if I have a fan page, they can't write messages. So I won't feel so bad about that. But, people always find a way to contact you. So I don't know whether it'll make much of a difference. But, yeah, I'll be going to the fan page pretty soon.
Well, I have to say the fans really do appreciate that. It's not often, especially if you're not going to conventions, that they get to interact with you and they get to talk to you.
Yeah, I actually love the fans. I have to say, not out of being like, oh yeah, I love fans. Like, they're such great people and so sweet and kind and interesting. And, you know, if you live in somewhere like LA, and you may know what it's like living in Vegas, there's definitely like a subtype of people that you're around a lot. And their focus is very narrow. Like, here it's all about entertainment and work and being famous and blah, blah, blah. And my favorite people are the people that live out of LA that have really great family and life and interesting, like I play cricket now, and my cricket team are just full of the most fascinatingly interesting people. And so the fans are these great, wonderful people that have their own focuses and their own lives. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, you're so much more interesting. This is awesome. And so sweet and genuine. And it's nice to have people in my life like that, whether it's from a video game or whether it's from playing sport. It's really nice to be reminded that there are amazing people out there that do all sorts of different things.
And, well, I hope you get to go to a convention soon, like another one soon in the future. That way, you know, you can see more of the cosplay and more of the fans probably tackling you, and in a nice way, guys. Don't like tackle her onto the ground.
Some of those boys are big, too. Like, it's such a shock. Like, I'll be their friends on Facebook, and then I see them, and I'm like, whoa, you're like a man. Like, I thought you were like a little kid. You're man. You're like 3 times my size.
I can kind of understand that.
I'm not a big girl. So it is funny when I see like someone that I've been writing to, and I'm like, you're wow. So.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see you at a convention in the future, and I'm sure you'll update your Facebook and your Twitters and maybe your website.
Yes, that would be really I also have my own personal website, which is girlfromdownunder.com. That gets updated quite a bit as well. So you can always check on there's a few. If you don't know that I also do stand-up and ridiculous things, you will know that after going to that page.
That always seems like such a hard thing. Like, my jokes are so lame, so I'm really bad at making people laugh. Like, I just make myself laugh. Like, I laugh at myself. So I would think that would be hard to get a whole room of people to laugh.
Yeah, it's addictive, though. It's the funniest. I've been doing stand-up now for 6 years, and I would never want to stop. It is so fun and so ridiculous. And to me, it was really helpful because it found me my friends, because I love to laugh and I love to make people laugh. And I had a bit of trouble finding girls that like to laugh and found themselves amusing. To be honest, when I moved here, it was a lot of like, oh my God, what are you talking about? It's not funny. Sorry, y'all. So I found a whole lot of boys that like to play sport and tell fart jokes. And I was like, yes, my people. So I love stand-up. And it's something, you know, it's like anything. When you start, you're really not good at it. But you love it, so you keep going. And then you get to a point where you're like, whoa, I think like the people were really laughing at me. I guess I'm funny now. Awesome. So it's one of the hardest jobs in the world, though. Like, to get up on stage, you know, they say that the number 1 fear in the world is public speaking. Number 2 is death. So most people would rather die than get up on a stage and talk. And we do it for a living. So it's a funny thing, but once you like it and you're good at it, or you like feel satisfaction from it, they can't pull you down. You're like, give me a stage and a microphone now.
See, I'm obviously biased because I don't think the talking part's the hard part. I just think the joking part's the hard part.
Yes. Well, that's also, you should hopefully be funny if you're going to be a stand-up comic. Definitely. I think that's a priority. But, you know, some of it is, you sound really sweet and lovely and interesting and intelligent, and some stand-up comics aren't. So that's your skill. Some of them are just really good at being horrible, rude, and funny. So, you know, we all have our thing. And I've always just loved making people laugh, so I figured why not do it on a mass level.
I can understand that. I mean, you have all the things that you do. You love it. And that's what I really respect about you, is that you're willing to go everything that's after your passion.
Yes.
That's always the coolest thing to me.
Yeah. I do not do anything that I don't love. And luckily, I love a lot of things.
Like unicorns and rainbows. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, exactly. See?
Now,
that's awesome.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there?
Other than that they're awesome and that they should go out and conquer the world with their awesomeness. Not really. I mean, my film is my main project right now. I'm doing a lot of other film and TV stuff sort of on and off, but it's nothing that I can kind of really talk about yet. Things are in development and things are going really, really well over here right now for me, and I love it. But besides that, my film is the one that, like, is my launching pad. I have an end goal to be Oprah for children and encourage children out there to know that everything in their life is okay and it's going to be okay, and doesn't matter what happens, we can find a way to make it positive, and the film is going to be my first step. So if people watch my film, that helps me a lot with my quest, and I'm so grateful. So that's the main thing.
I definitely want to keep updated on that, and you've informed us where to keep track of it, and I'm sure the listeners probably you'll get quite a few new followers being like, oh, hey, I heard you.
If you want to see me bold, that's the way to go.
Just in case, the people out there do.
Yes, just warning you, you will see a bald head.
Well, I think the most interesting thing, I was going through the past updates of it, and like how you were describing the treatment. Like, I think that's the most, I guess, horrific thing that I've heard about it so far.
Sorry, what was that? You just broke up then.
I'm sorry. I was saying that the treatment seems like the most horrific thing.
Yeah, having the condition doesn't hurt. The things that we do to get our hair back hurts. There's no known cure and no known cause, so there's still, like, excuse the pun, stabbing in the dark to, like, find out what they can do. And there's some really, really painful treatments, which I keep, like, put it this way. I've been meaning to start one of them for a week, and every night I look at it and go, I'll do it tomorrow. So I'm a chicken when it comes to the treatments now, because I know how painful they are. There's one where you burn your scalp every night. That's the one I'm putting off. You basically give it the worst sunburn ever every night. And it's supposed to stimulate growth because the immune system starts attacking the sunburn as opposed to, or the burn, that's an acid burn on your head, instead of attacking the hair follicle. And another one that I did was basically where they got a hammer with needles on it and they just banged it into your head lots. That was way more painful, and I only lasted, I think, 4 weeks on that. But yeah, there's some pretty gnarly things that we will do to get our hair back in life.
I'm such a wimp. I went to Disneyland and I complained about peeling for like 4 weeks afterwards. So I don't think I'd be able to cope very well.
Yeah, no, this takes peeling and takes it to like a whole new level of pus and blisteriness. It's beautiful.
Well, on to that subject. Let's go on to something a little bit different. Well, since we're ending our time together, would you be willing to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition?
Oh, yes, please.
Ooh, yay. Basically, we ask if you'd be willing to do a radio bump for us.
Of course.
Awesome. We basically ask if you'd be willing to say, hello, my name is, I do this. You can insert whatever you want there, be as creative as you like. And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Nice, I can do that.
Awesome. Then we're all recording, so whenever you're ready.
Cool. Hey guys, this is George Van Culyenburg, otherwise known as Vanille from Final Fantasy, the person that basically went in thousands of homes around the world. Also stand-up comedian and maker of the film Baby Let Your Hair Hang Down. Thank you so much for listening to me and this station. You are listening to 91.8 The Fan.
Perfect. That was easy.
Love it.
You didn't even have time for a take two, so nobody gets to hear you mess up. Look at that.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure you're professional.
I've done it before, I got to admit.
Well, thank you so much for today. This was a lot of fun.
Your pleasure, Jackie. That was a lot of fun, too, for me. Thank you.
If you missed any of this interview, don't freak out. It'll be up on the website within the next few days, so keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan and keep your eyes peeled to the website for this awesome interview.